Hey everybody, it's Sunday evening, March, actually I don't know the date, first week in March 2016, and going to do a flea market find segment. I've got some stuff that I got in. I actually got some killer stuff this week. That's going to be probably in a later segment. So those of you who hate these segments, sorry, but better strap yourself in for a bumpy ride because we've got some stuff coming. Those of you who like seeing this kind of stuff, I picked up some stuff last week at a business. He's downsizing and was able to pick up some great stuff there, and we'll get to that. Just a quick shout out as far as what you can expect to see, what you've probably been seeing if my editing goes in any kind of chronological order. You've probably been seeing some videos of the Mercury outboard motor that I've been working on. You've probably seen me make my first attempt at threading on the Vernon lathe. I'm pointing over there. You guys can't see it, but it's sitting right over there. Anyways, so we're gonna have to do an upcoming video on leveling the Vernon lathe, and then as long as we're at it, we'll probably do the verify that the tailstock is not offset, that it's on center. Because after I turned the threads, I found out that it turned a taper. Very slight taper, but it turned a taper, and more than likely the bed has a twist in it, because I never did level this lathe, so that was a mistake, which we can rectify. We've got some precision levels we can throw on there and try and figure something out. What else? The reason why I was doing threading on there was I was making the component that screws into the top of the flywheel so I could lift that motor, that outboard motor, that Mercury. And one of the last operations that I ended up doing on that was drilling a hole for the bolt to go through, that the clevis, or whatever you want to call that. I forget what you call that kind of thing. Clevis might actually be correct. Anyways, that goes through, and I was drilling that on the Wells Index milling machine, and I had it in low range, and I was on the last drill bit. It was a 7/8 inch drill, and the memory card had filled up, or the battery had died, I forget which, so I didn't end up actually filming it. And what ended up happening, or I don't think I did. Anyways, what ended up happening was when it broke through on the other side, it grabbed the drill bit, and I'm not quite sure what ended up happening, but the next thing I know, I backed out the drill, and whenever I tried to plunge it back in again, it would just stop, and the motor would just keep running, and there was no sign, no change in the RPMs or anything. And so then I found out that I could actually hold the chuck, and it just spins. So I broke something in the head on the Wells Index mill. Now, the good news is when I put it in high range, everything still works just the same as it did. So the direct drive is working just fine, which makes sense because the spindle certainly didn't snap in this particular situation. It has something to do with that secondary drive. Now there's a little tooth belt inside there, but I thought about it and I said, if I broke that belt, it wouldn't turn at all. It would be just not working at all. And it does turn. It has no torque. I can grab it and stop it. So I suspect what happened is the pulley, the larger pulley that the tooth belt rides on, actually sits on a shaft, and there's a Woodruff key in there. And I'm willing to bet that what ended up happening is that Woodruff key snapped, that it sheared the key. So unfortunately, if that is what it is, it's going to be a relatively inexpensive fix. So I'm hoping that's actually what it is. Bad news is getting to that's a bear, so I'm going to end up having to take that top. I'm going to have to at least take the motor off the top at the very minimum, and I think I'm going to have to take that housing off too on the top there. So we'll have some Wells Index repair videos coming up. So anyway, for now, let's get to this flea market stuff. So this was a couple weeks ago. I hit the flea market, and a vendor that I don't normally buy tools from because she doesn't normally have a lot of tools. She had a Kennedy toolbox there, and it was an unusual one. It was a bottom rolling toolbox, bottom chest, but it was only about 15 inches wide. So I don't know exactly what that originally went with or what kind of modular setup that might have gone with. And she had $100 on it, so I didn't want to buy it because I couldn't think of. I thought it'd be a nice little thing to tuck over by maybe the lathe or the mill. Doesn't give you much workspace on top of it, and I'm sure there's not a top box that would go on that thing because it was just so narrow. But the paint was coming off in some areas there, and it wasn't. It was by far it wasn't in mint condition, and we got quite a few Kennedys. I'd like to get another lower box, a larger one at some point maybe. But anyways, so I didn't want that. But I was looking through the drawers in there, and lo and behold, and she didn't. She ended up selling it probably like a week or two later because this past weekend when I hit the flea market, it was gone. But I went through the drawers and I found this mag base right here, and this is I don't even know if this had a name on it. Look to see if underneath the sticker. Looks like maybe there was a name under there at some point. So it's just we'll call it a no name, probably a cheapo mag base, and this bottle of steel blue dicam, or dicam, whatever you want to call it, bluing material, layout fluid. This is half full. She had $3 on this. She had $3 on this. That's $6. I offered her 4, and she took that. So for $4, I got myself another mag base. The reason why I grabbed this one is because this knob actually isn't broken on this one, which I've got a couple of these that the knobs just seem like they're all trashed out. Either the knob falls off or they just feel really weird. This one actually feels okay. And, Dicam, some people swear by it, some people swear at it. However you feel about it, I got some. So then I hit the back room. I stopped by to see the guy that I've picked up some video game stuff from in the past. And he normally doesn't have tools either, but he must have just got a hold of an estate or clean out or something because he had a whole bunch of plastic bins that he was pulling stuff out of to price up. And I spotted tools in there. So I started digging through, and a lot of the tools were kind of like this, brand new in the package still. So I went through and I saw some stuff, and I was kind of like, maybe, might be interested in getting this or that. And then one of the items, I actually forgot it in the bed of the truck. As a matter of fact, it looked like it hardly ever been used. It was a Harbor Freight tire changer. It was I think it was called the Harbor Freight ATV and small tractor tire changer, I think. So that is actually one of the bigger items that I thought, well, if I can get that cheap enough, I'd be willing to buy that. And I looked it up, and I think it's only like 35 or $40 new at Harbor Freight. And if you get one of the super coupons and everything, you're probably going to end up paying about $30 for the thing. So what ended up happening was I got that for $10, and all the pieces were in there except for one handle, which I can just make a handle easy enough. So that's the kind of thing that I'm going to hardly ever use it, but when I do go to use it, if it works correctly, it's going to be really nice to have. Unfortunately, I forgot it in the bed of the truck, and then it rained, so the box got all trashed from the rain. But it's not the kind of thing I was looking to resell, so I really don't care. That's going to be something I'm just going to throw up on a shelf. So I'm probably not going to end up showing that, but it's basically the Harbor Freight ATV tire changer. It's just it's a mechanical, strictly manual compressor that helps you break the bead on the tire and helps you change the tires. So I grabbed that for $10, and then I think I got all of the stuff in here for $15. This was used, okay, and the handle's all chewed up. But it's a Pittsburgh, so this is a Harbor Freight flex head 1/2-inch drive ratchet. And I already checked and it works perfectly fine. And the interesting thing is, this is actually, I think, like $30 new. So even though it's a cheap name, I guess because of the fact that it's 1/2-inch drive and it's flex head, you know, this went for some decent money. So I valued it. This alone, I valued it at about $5 for me, anyways. And the handle was in better shape, maybe even more. But the handle's got all this. I don't know what the heck somebody was doing to this thing, but it's got some cancer there on the rubber, and some cuts. I don't know if like some of this rubber was flaking off and somebody just started cutting it. But you know, for $5, that's fine. I actually just wish it was 3/8 drive. I had never seen these before. This is from a company called Storehouse. This is a 90-piece. This is probably another Harbor Freight item. A 90-piece. This is called the POM rivet assortment. Palm rivet, not pop rivet. And this says, use these precision molded industrial strength polyoxymethylene rivets to securely lock components in place and prevent pullouts. Great for fastening plastic to plastic, metal, fiberglass, and more. Beveled round head blind rivets. Handy divided PVC storage case. So I don't know if any of you guys have ever used these before, but I've never even seen them before. But what they look like, they look like pop rivets, but they're plastic. But anyways, you know, I just threw that in. I bundled this stuff to get it dirt cheap. Here's another Pittsburgh tools, obviously another Harbor Freight cheesy tool. And what this is this is a disc brake pad piston compressor. If you want to change the disc brakes on your car, when you take the worn ones out, you need to get the piston to go back into the caliper a little bit so you can fit the thicker new pads in. In the past, I've always just put a plate of steel in there and used a C-clamp and gotten away with it. And I just said, you know what, since it's sitting here anyways and nobody's going to really care if I take it or not, I'm going to grab this thing. And then at first I thought this was new and unused, and it turns out somebody had just put it back in here and took the trouble to tape it up and staple it. But this is definitely used. The actual threads right here look kind of banged up now that I look at it. And this over here clearly shows vice grips or channel locks have been chewing on this thing. So somebody didn't like this little cheesy thing here. But this is the kind of thing that, provided those threads aren't so bad that I can't use it, it's a handy little thing to have. Didn't value that much either. This is a 3-wheel mover's dolly. So this is a little deal here. It's got little cushiony pads there to help whatever you put on there not slip off, with 3 little casters. And this is a Hall Master item number 67208. That sounds like another Home Depot type of thing. This is 132 pound capacity, so I'm not going to put a big piece of machinery or something on this, but never know when I might need that here at the house for something. This is a propane hose. I don't know if you've ever had to buy a replacement propane hose at the hardware store, but I don't know if it's because of the types of fittings or what, but these actually are kind of pricey. So I figure, well, what the hell, spare propane hose in case I need one for gas grill. And then this is a brand new, unused Chicago Electric, which is Harbor Freight's store brand for their welders, TIG torch. Okay, so this is the TIG torch that comes with the Chicago Electric TIG welder that you buy from Harbor Freight. So oddly enough, I can't find this for sale separately on the Harbor Freight website. So if you damage this, I don't know what you're supposed to do to get a replacement one. But I did find on eBay that I think these bring about $25. So I guess if you do damage one, you can go on eBay and you can buy one like the one I have here for about $25. So this is going to be strictly a resale item. I'm not going to keep this. I don't need it. And quite frankly, I can't foresee me buying a Harbor Freight Chicago Electric TIG welder anytime in the future. So get rid of that. And then the last item was I asked him how much he wanted for this dead blow mallet. It's well used. It's actually got a big crack in it right here. And it's a Pittsburgh tool 4-pound dead blow hammer. So it's another cheapy Harbor Freight job. And he said you could just have that. So I got that for free. So, you know, it's who knows how long before it finally gives up the ghost, because it's got some, actually now that I look at it, it's got 2 big cracks in the end of it here. But, you know, for now, we'll continue beating on something with it. So now we come to the final item. And this actually, I scored this at the pawn shop of all places. And they don't usually have a lot of machinist items there. But I was looking through the cases, and this happened to be where they had a couple of items that were machinist related that had been there for quite a while. And I spotted this box, and I said to him, I said, "Hey, do you know what that thing is in the box right there?" He says, "Yeah." He says, "It's an electronic edge finder." So my ears perked up when he said that. I was like, "Oh, that seems pretty cool." So I said, "Well, let me take a look at it." So I take the I take the thing and I take it out, and I'm like, "Well, that's weird. That actually looks like it's that looks like it I don't know, like should have uranium inside of it and would be loaded into a warhead." But so of course it's got little instructions here. So he got a phone call and he went off, and while he was off, I pulled out the instructions and started to read here and quickly deduced. First I thought, well, okay, it appears to me that there's supposed to be a ball that must magnetically hang off of this thing. And, well, there's no ball in there. So my first thought was, this thing's missing something. Okay, but then I turned over the paper and noticed electronic preset gauge. And I went, oh, well, okay. Well, that's different. So my first thought was that this is a 2-in-1 tool, that it can do both jobs. But then the more closely I looked at the diagram here versus the diagram here, this has got a long nose on it and it's got that ball on the end. This has got a little short stubby nose. And I realized and pointed out to him, this is not an edge finder. This is a electronic preset gauge, as they call it. Now, what they probably did at the company here is this company that made these, made both of these, and printed out one little owner's manual or owner's instructions, whatever you want to call this, pamphlet, and just printed it on 2 sides to be more economic. They just load the damn, they just can throw the same sheet in either box. They probably use the same box, same packing and everything, and just put in what they need to put in. So this is a preset gauge. What this is, when it works, what's supposed to happen is you sit this on top of your, well, I guess you could put it on top of your vice jaws maybe if you wanted to, or whatever you want to put it on top of that's a flat surface, and then you bring down your end mill on your mill, and when the end mill just touches this top button on the top here, these lights will go on. Okay? And you can see there's a little light, a little window on each side there. So no matter which way what side you're on, you can see one of the lights will light. And you'll know that you're just touching off at the very top of that. And this is unscrewed. When this is screwed in, it's recessed. So this bottom surface to this top surface is exactly 2 inches, plus or minus 0.2 of a thousandth. So when you bring the end mill down and it just touches off and the light lights, you know you are now exactly 2 inches above that surface. So that's what that is. Now, the newest version of these uses LEDs. Well, what I did was I tried it there in the store and it didn't do anything. So I thought, oh, well, gee, I wonder what's up with that. So I unscrewed this. This was screwed all the way in, or almost all the way in. I unscrewed this, okay, and opened it up, and what fell out of there were not one, not two, but 3 button batteries, okay, and then this little bulb. And what I noticed was, lo and behold, back of that bulb, it's corroded, as is this battery. So there you can see that corrosion. So that bulb might actually still be good if I cleaned it up. I didn't check the batteries. So in true pawn shop style, I said, so what do you got on that? $89. Okay, so I was like, wow, I don't even know what that cost new, but I'm like, yeah, that ain't happening. And I pointed out that it doesn't work, it's corroded. I said, look, you know what? If you want, I'll take it as is for $10. And he's like, 15. And I said, yeah, you know what? I said, I'm just not that attached to it. I said, I think I'll pass. And he said, give me the 10. So that worked out. I ended up getting this for $10. I think I can clean the corrosion off of this, get new batteries, and it'll probably work. And then once I've got it good and working, I will promptly put that in my toolbox and forget about it and never use it again, more than likely, and let the batteries leak out all over it. I don't know. I don't know how practical that's going to be for me. So here's the other interesting thing. This actually says it was made in the USA. There is absolutely no manufacturer's name anywhere on this. And there's no markings or anything on this. And if you Google this, you can find this exact same one for sale by several vendors, and it is a very expensive little doohickey. But the funny thing is, I think even the people who do have it for sale, I think they're selling old surplus. I don't even know if this company's still making these. So if anybody recognizes this style of preset gauge, height preset gauge, or if they have the edge finder version of this, I'd be curious to hear if they actually use it and how much they paid for it. So I guess just for giggles, let's see if there's anything left in those batteries. All right, so let's try crusty corroded one first. El Crusto Corrodo is 0.346 volts. Yeah, that's cooked. This one is 1.563, no load. Hey, that's actually a good battery, more than likely. Good enough to run this little light. As is this one. Well, that's interesting. This battery here self-imploded apparently, and didn't take its brothers with it, even though it was most likely sitting there in series the whole time. Yeah, that battery's cooked. So I actually only need one battery for this thing. Huh. Well, I just checked, and sadly I do not have any of those batteries, so looks like I'm not going to be able to check this thing out tonight. The other thing I wanted to point out was this battery. I'm sorry, this bulb. There's actually a part number listed for the bulb. The part number listed for the bulb, it says lamp number 338, and then it says TT3510. But that would be like if you were ordering the bulb from the manufacturer. But the reality is, I just checked with a magnifier, and I think, yeah, this is a 3150 bulb. So it's kind of funny. They're playing playing dirty there with that part number. They're calling it a TT3510, and what this is it's actually a 3150 bulb. And the reason why that's important is because you can source a 3150 bulb online from several different vendors, whereas if you're looking for a TT3510, that's going to be the part number from the manufacturer of this unit. So I just thought I'd mention that in case anybody has one of these and the bulb's bad and they're wondering whether they're ever going to be able to find another bulb. That's how you would go about it. All right, so that's going to conclude this episode, and stay tuned, because if you like this kind of stuff, I've got a haul that I haven't completely gone through of stuff. There was some really nice items I scored for my workshop. There's a couple items for resale, and there's several freebies too.